Walt Disney Company is definitely on the decline. People are beginning to wonder what is going on with this company. Some have even said to me, "Pro, why is the coverage so negative for the House of Mouse?" Well, folks, the stock price is nearing a 5-year low. The box office is down. The parks are in trouble. It seems like every division other than cruise lines is really struggling at the Walt Disney Company. And yet you will hear nada, zilch, nothing out of the people who made this company great. We have discovered, through investigative journalism taking place at That Park Place and amongst ourselves, reaching out to contacts, that there's a real reason that we are hearing very little from the Disney legends, and we are going to tell you why. All right, folks, it is a beautiful Friday evening if you are watching at the time of publication. If not, hey, you've already started on Memorial Day weekend. Perhaps you're watching this years into the future, but if you're watching any time close to when this came out, happy Memorial Day weekend. We hope that you have a wonderful time with family and friends and that you remember the spirit of this weekend and what it is all about. To those out there who have known people who have given it all, we say a tremendous thank you and send our gratification to you for all of your sacrifices. And we hope you have an absolutely Memorial Day weekend. Memorable, perhaps. Joining us to talk about something that is also memorable, but not in a good way. This being the Walt Disney Company and what it is doing, perhaps, to its legends. We have Jonas J. Campbell, investigative reporter for thatparkplace.com. Jonas, welcome back.
Good to be here. Sorry that we have to talk about this topic today, of course, though.
Oh, but we'll get to happier things in the next few days. Stephen Stephen is the artist behind all of the stuff we do here at the WDW Pro channel, as well as That Park Place, as well as on the Valiant Renegade channel. He has, I mean this seriously, he has basically changed the game when it comes to thumbnail art and graphics for what we do. Stephen also runs a gaming channel, and Stephen, it is a tremendous honor to have you back on.
Thank you for having me. I'm after my kitchen did not burn down.
Yes. Stephen had almost a significant faux pas that could have been a burning issue for the day, but it's not, so that's good.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Folks, as we get into this, if you like content like it, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and you can stick it to the algorithms. When you click it, we're talking about the notification bell. Jonas, it was several weeks ago that you and I met with a source, this source being someone who has connections with very high-level individuals all throughout the Walt Disney Company. We have additional sources that we have maintained connections with and discussed these things with. I need you to walk the audience through what is going on in terms of how Disney is preventing itself from receiving criticism from those who possibly even worked with Walt Disney himself, the people who essentially built this company. How are they avoiding criticism from them?
Well, the simple answer is when you work on a project, there is something called an NDA. And often, after you've been away for a while, no one will care about that NDA because it's all things that are in the public sphere. That is a non-disclosure agreement for anyone who doesn't know that term. It's an agreement between a worker or a contractor and a company to say, I am not going to talk about this thing because it's not ready to be talked about yet. And there are usually some legal ramifications put in there. The Disney Company, being a highly secretive and magical company, you can't see my air quotes, being a magical company, they like to keep a lot of that creative process behind closed doors and then put a nice glossy sheen of pixie dust over it by releasing something about it, that's fully pristine and maybe a little bit sanitized to talk about how great the project was the entire way through. And any problems are just a story about the magic of creativity.
So I want to take this a little bit more into what I consider to be really Disney acting in a more sinister fashion. Before we go into that detail, I need to preface this for the audience. First of all, we have to be very careful with this. This could get some of the people who you know their names. They're that big. This could get them in big trouble. And we're not going to say their names, and we can't give information that will let you know who we're talking about. That's how careful we must be, how sensitive this is. Additionally, we need to be careful in terms of what projects we're discussing. So we need to avoid specificity on which projects we're talking about. But I just want everyone out there to know that it is both Jonas and I who have talked about this with contacts. We have discussed this together. Neither of us is ignorant of what the other has heard. So let me dive into that, and then Stephen, I want your take on this.
Okay.
So people may wonder, why is it that individuals who have had a history with the company going back decades, why are they not speaking out and saying, no, this is not what we built this company for. This is not what Walt wanted. You were taking this in the wrong direction. Surely there's somebody out there who would say that. And what we have been led to believe is happening, and strongly believe this is true. Although let me say this as the necessary caveat. We cannot independently corroborate, well, maybe we could. We haven't yet independently corroborated these facts. We have not verified them. They are rumor and speculation, although we strongly suspect they're true. So we'll do that. But here's what's happening. Disney, we are told, has been going to Disney legends. People who worked with the company for a very long time, have extremely storied careers, names that you would know. And Disney is hiring these individuals, or has been hiring these individuals over the last number of years, hiring them for one purpose. And so let's say that it's a project that they have brought them on, and those legends believe they're going to be a part of doing something big, something tremendous. And then the company has been, we are told, sidelining those legends, that they don't actually end up working on the project at all, even if they're credited. And that those Disney legends then are simply signed to the contract to control their speech, because the contract forbids them from speaking negatively about the company. And thereby, these legends have been brought into the fold to work on things, believing that they're back in the game. And then the truth is that they're farther removed from the game than ever before. Disney using these contracts simply as a way to silence those who made the company what it is. Stephen, I would love to go into more specifics. I would love to tell you that this is about projects inside the Disney parks. I can't tell you that. I would love to tell you that it's about issues with Disney animation. I can't tell you that. But what do you make of what you know so far from what we've said?
So in other words, they're hiring people on, in the promise of getting to be attached to newer and exciting projects, but all it is a way of putting another barricade up and getting them away from doing anything that isn't with their narrative or message.
What it seems like, and let me say this too, Stephen, we're talking about older people, although we would never want to suggest that anyone is not of the same mental ability, but it does seem more, what's the word here? It seems more distasteful that Disney appears to be doing this to people who are of a senior level.
Yeah. Go ahead, Stephen.
It sounds abusive to the legacy and foundation of what was, to tear down and make something new. And that's what we're already seeing happening in the last, let's say, 10 years. But that sounds like if you silence the bricks, then we can just put those bricks somewhere else and replace them. Exactly.
Jonas, you had a thought?
Yeah. An example of when this might go awry. Someone who is probably not under an NDA. There were recent comments from a guy who is not of the stature of legend that we're talking about here, but still very talented, has contributed a lot to something that Disney currently owns. Tom Kane provided the voice of Yoda for the Clone Wars series and a lot of that Filoniverse stuff. There was I don't know if it was a celebration interview, but there's an interview where he seemed to speak negatively about some of the trends at Lucasfilm or the Walt Disney Company. And then all of a sudden, Tom Kane, who is used for everything, he's used in the parks, in fact, as the voice for Yoda in the Jedi Challenge that they had there at Hollywood Studios and Disneyland. All of a sudden, you see a different voice actor a very talented one, by the way, named Piot. I want to say Michael, doing the voice of Yoda in the Young Jedi Adventures instead of this very available actor.
And then the way this is working for these individuals, we are told, the way this is working for individuals of an older age who are being brought back under contract to work on these things is that they don't work on them then. They're shelved immediately. And then they understand, given that they're retired, let's say, and given that they are on a degree of wealth which cannot easily be expanded, right? Because once you reach a certain age, you're living off of that which you have acquired. These individuals are hesitant to break their contract, to break their NDA, to do anything that would make Disney mad, lest Disney go after these Disney legends' retirements. And that just, I despise this strategy that the company appears to have taken. Again, we can't independently verify it, but we strongly suspect this to be true. So, I don't know, guys. What do you think about this disrespect that perhaps the company is demonstrating to those who, for years and years, if we go back the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, this company represented something totally different than what it represents today. And there seems to be a huge level of disdain for those people now.
It pretty much looks like they're taking old sitcom reference tropes and saying, all right, we don't want to deal with grandma and grandpa anymore. Let's put them in an old folks home while adding duct tape. It's pretty much, that's what it sounds like. And it looks like that's what they're doing.
Absolutely. And let me say this too, Jonas. I don't want anybody to be confused about this, because we are recording this on the same weekend that The Little Mermaid is coming out. I am not suggesting that is what has been done to Jodie Benson, who is the original voice behind The Little Mermaid, appears in a cameo in this movie and has been complimentary. She also voices Barbie in the Toy Story films. I am not suggesting in any way that this is what has happened to her. I don't think that has happened to her. So don't be mistaken on the target of this. But we are talking about others. And again, we're talking about huge names in the company. And we felt that it was necessary to bring this to light. We even went to the source and sources that we have gathered this from and said, what can we say? How can we possibly bring this out in a way that doesn't get anybody in trouble, that doesn't, cause one of these legends to be in breach of contract and lose their funds? Like, how do we do this? Because it's just so sad that this appears to be happening.
Can I add something? And you can cut it out if I cross the line here. You can bleep it if you want to make it salacious. These are people that would have worked at the same time that Walt Disney was at the company.
Yes, they're the connective tissue between Walt and those people are very few and far between now. So, Jonas, help us understand what do you think should be done to remedy this situation? What should the Disney company do in order to provide a resolute means by which to correct itself?
I would say the simplest thing is to sincerely celebrate the past instead of celebrating the future by trying to grind up the remainder of what is there and make it into synthetic pixie dust and sprinkle it on everything that's there. There are projects that are going on that are completely unnecessary, capital expenditure heavy things to try to fix problems that don't really exist outside of certain areas. I'm being vague because I have to be vague. There is so much that is being done to rewrite things that don't have to be redone. And if they could just get back to that constant nostalgia, real nostalgia for the things that worked, maybe we wouldn't be in this problem. Maybe we wouldn't have so much to comment on. These guys do like to work. I do think they liked the things that they worked on in the past, because the creative process can sometimes be ugly. But when you produce something that you can be proud of, it's something that they all worked on together that they can say, yes, I put my name on this. And I don't think this is a pride issue where they say mine was better, therefore I'm angry that it's changing. I think that they created something magical, and Disney needs to go back to honoring the magical instead of the usual tactic of pretending like something that they did that is mediocre is good until they've gaslit the audience into also believing that it's good.
Well, can I jump in here? I'm going to use a reference from a Dick Van Dyke show. There was an episode where they had an older personality come in that Dick's character was a fan of. And they were talking about, well, how can we update our jokes while still using some of your old stuff? And they went with a routine that was the classic, like getting in pain, my hand getting caught in the drawer, stepping in a bucket. And it worked great. And it seems like those type of moments can still be applied to Disney, but Disney would rather put them in the closet and then put a broomstick in the handles and keep the door shut than actually listen to the old people. It's like watching the younger generation going, you're too old, you don't get us anymore. But this is Absolutely. Like a type of disrespect, because you're putting them under an NDA or a contract to make sure nobody acknowledges their existence anymore or their legacy. And that is just diabolic.
Now, I also want to clarify, folks, that we have been displaying images this entire video of various Disney legends, and we are doing that in order to obscure who we are talking about. So not every one of these individuals in these photos have been treated this way. We're not trying to suggest that, but we're simply trying to keep safe those who have been treated in this manner, if that is occurring.
I'm just going to say it right now. It's Patrick Dempsey, guys. It's Patrick Dempsey.
But Jonas, I also want to say that one of the things that I dislike about this so much is that when these individuals who want to continue working, who want to be a part of this company, who want to make it be what Walt envisioned, when they sign these contracts, let's say, this prevents them from continuing to work in other areas that they could. And that to me is so sad, because they don't want to be shelved.
Oh, I hadn't even realized that.
Yes, and so it takes these individuals of immense talent and immense wisdom and puts them in the cupboard. And I dislike this immensely. And so, as difficult as it has been to even have this conversation in a way that's safe, we have had to be so ridiculously vague. But it's to protect those individuals. But the reason we've done this is because this pains us. This is not right. This should not happen. The company should revere these individuals, not have them sign on to work on a project that they're not going to work on, but they don't know that, and then be completely sidelined and silenced. It just should not be. So, gentlemen, final thoughts as we wrap up this conversation.
What a way to devalue your legacy talent. It's something they do across the board anyways. In my work on my channel, that's the thing that I see the most. That's the most subtle, that they're always going back after the old stuff. And instead of honoring the old stuff, showing that it's great and honoring the fans who came here to see that, they just have it there so that they can say, yeah, we checked the box. We got it. It's in there. Please show up and spend your money. But no, we're not trying to honor what you've done. We're not trying to honor the great things that you have nostalgia for. They're cutting off the generational wealth, the generational knowledge of what came before. And that's just not cool. And the idea that there is someone who has contributed so much who could be made to feel less than because of this ridiculousness, that just boils my blood.
Jonas, where can people find you on this great, big, beautiful web out there?
Well, I'm an investigative reporter for That Park Place, one of my favorite places to be on the internet. And also, I am the co-host and producer of The Pro Show, Thursdays, 5 to 7 Eastern Time. And I also have a channel that has my name currently, will probably be changed to Everything Woke About, where I break down pop culture and talk about some of the political themes and maybe stuff that's a little too spicy for kids content that they're putting into kids content these days.
Jonas, briefly tell us about your most recent video that came out this morning.
I have to be careful in a whole other way. Maybe I want to say it twice and give you an option to edit it out. There's a new episode of there's a new video on my channel about the new Transformers series that has Optimus Prime, and instead of the noble character that he was in the 80s, he's now a goofball. Megatron is a good guy who was just misunderstood. There's a new generation of Transformers that would prefer they them pronouns. And
that'll suffice, Jonas. We'll stop there. I think that suffices. I don't want to give too much away. People want to go over there and be surprised. And well, unfortunately, this is a pattern that ceases to surprise very much. Stephen, what do you make of this scheme that Disney has? And then please also tell us where we can find you.
It's the common trend of Disney, and at this point, I don't have any expectations that surprise me anymore when it comes to this company, and it's going to continue until eventually the older voices, the older talents are no longer with us, or until they just decide to push whatever they're already pushing, and eventually, like all of us as legacy fans or viewers or consumers or customers, we're not going to be here forever, and it's not us we have to worry about protecting. It's the legacy that's following after us to remember what we appreciate and hope they appreciate as well. Don't let the corporations destroy it.
And Stephen, where can people find you on this great, big, beautiful web?
Yeah, they can find me in the state of Canada. Or they can find me on YouTube. I do a lot of gaming and very vocal. You can find me sometimes on the Pro Show, on the VR Show, and everywhere else on the internet. And Rumble.
Stephen is quite the guest, and we love having him on everything we do. Folks, my last thought on this one is I want to speak directly to some of those Disney legends just for a moment. I just want to say that if you are a Disney legend and you've been watching this video, this is for you. And I want to say to you that if you were forced into retirement, and if that you were then brought back into the company and silenced via a contract that was never intended, we suspect, to give you legitimate efforts on a project that you wanted to be a part of, we sincerely apologize that has been done to you. It is wrong, and you should be revered, and on this channel, we will do so. And we will try our best to bring to light when this kind of stuff happens, at the same time protecting those magnificent creators, those magnificent artists who did so much and added so tremendously to our culture and to our world. You are appreciated. So folks, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and you can stick it to the algorithms. When you click it, we're talking about the notification bell. This has been a conversation between three people, but now it is no more. It is for all of you. Please join in. Your voices, your thoughts matter. Remember that the human mind is the most intriguing thing in the entire universe. You have one, so please share it with us. The Pro Show is live Thursdays, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time in the evenings. We would love to have you there with us as we discuss things with all of our friends. And if you're not yet a member, for the price of a soda, you can get exclusive content, just like what you've seen here, but even more of it. So consider it. Folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
I just found out how to get WDW Pro's information, where he gets his sources. I can't believe he uses Wilton!
What?
We got a job to do. It's easy to hack into WDW Pro's computer.
You're kidding me. That's awesome. You know any other stuff?
Yeah, just Jonas Campbell told me.
Sweet.
Said Pro underpaid him or something.
A few minutes later.
There. Oh, awesome. Whatever. All I gotta do is
Whoa.
hack into this thing. It's gonna be so easy.
Yeah, this isn't
All
a
right,
hack.
grab this picture over here.
Leave it to me.
Oh, no, Wilson.
Job done. What?
No, all we had to do was use the picture because he uses face unlock. Now we gotta go to thatpartplace.com and sub to him and his team on YouTube.
Oh, well, I already did that because I'm smart.